The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
And welcome everyone to another edition, an earlier edition of No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk. That doesn't look right. Where you don't need there we go. Where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of the co-hosts, and to my right is the man who said no to Jerry Jones for the Dallas Cowboys job, Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are we doing today?
I had to say no. Because when it came to, I told him, I said, Jerry, I want to be able to draft the players. I want to be able to make the personnel decisions. And he just said that he was immersed in it. He was the best GM in football. He knows how to give out great contracts. And he also said that Stephen Jones was too busy polishing his glasses. So he said he just had too much going on. And he could not hire a GM nor give a head coaching candidate control over football decisions. So I just had to decline. But that means that I still get to do the show with you, which I'm very happy about. How are you tonight, sir?
Yeah, you wouldn't want me fired from a radio station if I were to do an interview with you. And if I asked you the wrong question, you wouldn't ask for me to be fired. You should be fired from your. You should be fired. You're doing a terrible job. You should be fired from your job.
You should be removed because you had the audacity to question my football acumen. Need I remind you that I played for the Arkansas Razorbacks?
And that's why you probably weren't going to be hired in the first place. All right, we got a lot to get to, but before we do that, we just want to do some house cleaning here. We want to remind you about our social media channels, which are as follows: Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, Twitter, Instagram, and the soon-to-be banned TikTok @NoCredsREQ, YouTube.com/@NoCredsREQ, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you podcast, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora, and don't forget to get yourself notified on Twitter. I still refuse to call it X, and on YouTube. That way you know when show announcements are up, when the videos are up, when the live streams are up, when show clips are up, when we do some 10 good minutes. Hey, got some pretty cool things planned for this year. So stick around, get yourself notified, tune in, and all that fun stuff. Also, since we're a live show, we're a podcast, rate, review, comment. We love your comments. We love your comments coming in, whether it be after the show, whether it be during the show. We appreciate you stopping by. And I know, Dustin, that my little hand and the big hand are trying to tell me something.
I do believe, even though my watch stopped earlier today, I believe it's chime time.
Yeah, it's a hair past a freckle here, but yes, it's chime time. All right, so we're going to start off with the show talking about our favorite athlete, because it's the 4th episode of the new year already. It's January 14th. We're already on episode 4 of 2025. Thank you to everyone who's been tuning in, either on the podcast side or the live show, whether you're joining us on YouTube, on Facebook, or Twitter, or you're watching on replay. We want to thank you. We appreciate you stopping by. We recorded an episode last night of the Three Rails Metro Hockey podcast. We got after it after a month off. We're starting a new thing there about our favorite athletes to wear the number X of our favorite teams. And last night we started, because it was episode 9 of the series. Mm-hmm. We dropped our favorite number 9s for our respective teams. So
okay.
Yeah. So that was a fun time. It was a fun episode. It's a fun experience. You know, hanging out with a couple of fellow hockey fans like Mr. Smooth and Brian. It was a fun time as usual. But come back to the OG show. We want to know who your favorite athlete that you saw wear the number 4. And I can think of many number 4s in my mind through history, through sports history, like Lou Gehrig, the Iron Horse.
Yeah.
You got Jean Beliveau, the gentleman, the gentleman of the Montreal Canadiens. You got your different athletes who wore number 4. I think Hank Greenberg of the Detroit Tigers wore number 4. Or was it number 9? I can't remember which one. I'll figure it out.
I don't know. We'd have to ask our resident Tigers fan if she's in the chat. But
yeah, let's go ahead. I'm going to start with you, Dustin, because you said you have a controversial take. People are going to be mad at you for your selection for the number 4. Your favorite athletes wear number 4.
All right. So remember when we first started this list, I added the caveat, which I think Ryan has adopted, that I have to have seen this person play. And also remember, these lists are very tailored to, guess what? Probably our favorite teams. Probably we have a irrational just love for a player. And sometimes you can't really explain why. And I would say that my first few picks have been chalk. If you know me at all, you could have predicted that I would probably pick Warren Moon for number 1, that I would probably pick Derek Jeter for number 2, and then I would probably pick number 3. Russ Wilson would have a good shot, even though he didn't play like it this weekend. We will get to that later. But my number 4 is the definition of off board. I'm going to lay it on you now. My favorite player to wear number 4 is number 4 for the Dallas Mavericks for the majority of his career. Now their VP of basketball operations, Michael Finley.
Solid pick.
I have always loved Michael Finley, and I can't even really explain why, but he's a big reason why I became a Mavs fan, because when I first started getting into basketball right around like 98, 99, early 2000s, Michael Finley, Steve Nash, and Dirk Nowitzki were playing together on the Mavericks, and they formed this kind of three-headed monster before there was a big three. But I always wanted a Finley jersey. He was my favorite. I liked him better than Nash. I liked him better than Dirk. And I mean, Dirk has since jumped him in the rankings. Okay. When we get to episode 41, there is no doubt who my 41 will be.
Yeah.
But Michael Finley, I always liked him. And people would say, oh, he's not like a star. He's not a star. But for his peak years in the Mavs, he averaged like 21, 22 points a game. His career average is 15 points a game. He started out with the Suns. I believe he was drafted by the Suns, and then he went to the Mavs. He went to the Mavs for the largest chunk of his career. And then after that, I believe it was the Spurs. Kind of hurt me, Michael, going to the Spurs, and then finished up with the Boston Celtics. But I just always liked the way he played, the way he carried himself. And I'm not going to lie, Ryan, a recent thing that happened last year as the Mavs were making their improbable run to the NBA Finals, after the Mavs closed out a series, this is a great clip. Luka decides to try to enjoy a beer in the locker room, or I should say in the hall.
Remember.
After at American Airlines Center, I believe it was at American Airlines Center, but I can't remember. And he's trying to enjoy a beer, and Michael Finley just comes and he takes the beer away for no reason. I mean,
and it was a Miller Lite too.
I know. But he came and he took the beer away. He was basically like, no. I don't know what the message was behind that, but man, I just always loved Michael Finley, and I can't even really explain why. I just liked watching him play. I liked the way he carried himself, and he's a big reason why I follow the Mavs to this day. So I guess I went off board. That pick is less chalk. If you want to tell me Michael Finley is chalk, come at me. But with that, as I always say, I cede the floor to you.
I actually have a story about Michael Finley. So back in the day, when I was a young whippersnapper, I won some basketball tickets. I called into Roger Weiland's Big Board Sports at
Oh,
the time. They were on five AM 590, and it's one of the only stations we could get when I worked in a computer center, because it was an inside room. So one of the only stations we could get in the building. So I listened to 590 AM WROW Big Board Sports with Roger Weiland. That was in between his appearances on WMYT and doing the sports there, and the six o'clock and the 11 o'clock. So he has a trivia question, and I happen to have my sports almanac in front of me. Sorry, Roger, if you're listening and you're a big fan of the show. So I have my sports almanac in front of me, and the trivia question was, other than Magic Johnson, or other than John Stockton, who was one of the assist leaders in the NBA in the 1980s? And the answer was Isaiah Thomas. So I had my choice. I had a choice of going to the Washington Capitol Hartford Whalers exhibition game, NHL exhibition game at then Pepsi Arena. Yes, that's how old this story is. Or I could go to the NBA exhibition game. By the way, MVP Arena, bring back the NHL and NBA exhibition matches, please. Those were awesome.
It'd be
awesome. Great. But I have my choice of either the NHL exhibition game or the NBA exhibition game. The NBA exhibition game was the Miami Heat and the Phoenix Suns.
Okay.
Now those were the days where the Heat had, I think they had Dan Marley, they had Glenn Rice, they had
Alonzo,
Tim Hardaway,
right?
They might have had Alonzo. Yeah. No, they did have Alonzo. They did have Alonzo, because I remember the night that Alonzo Mourning was traded from Charlotte to Miami. That was in 1995. So, but also the Phoenix Suns, Charles Barkley didn't play because I think it was below him to play in Albany.
Probably Sir Charles would take shots at us for sure.
Oh, for sure. Albany's terrible. Albany's terrible. But I remember one standout performance. That was from one rookie, number 4 from Wisconsin, Michael Finley. He balled out that game. It was a preseason game. It was a preseason game. It was a throwaway preseason game in Albany, New York, and he's balling out because he wants to impress. He wants to impress the fans. He wants to impress. He wants to spot in the team, and he was absolutely balling out. I will never forget it. So I was with my brother Jim. Like I managed to get. I think I was working day shift at that time, and I mean, he and I both went. I think it was a month or two after he got married, and we wound up going down there and having a good old time. And it was a great game. And we had great seats too. Like we had corner, lower bowl corner. It's great. It was awesome. It was awesome. Yeah, Michael Finley was like, because I was like, all right, I'm a fan. He's good. He's good. I like him. I like him a lot.
No, I just always liked the way that he carried himself. And like I said, like you said, you just illustrated it with your story. Finley wasn't always going to be unstoppable every night, but there were nights where he would catch fire and he could put the team on his back for like a quarter or so. He could get going. He could catch fire and he could get it working. But maybe I'll finally get that number 4 Michael Finley jersey after the show. Who knows?
There you go. All right, my favorite athlete to wear number 4. I could say Brett Favre, but nah, not so much. But and this is on brand for me because this is one of my favorite sports teams talking about. Number 4, Scott Stevens, New Jersey Devils.
Yeah.
Because he was on those 3 Stanley Cup teams, and he wasn't an OG Devil. He was not an originally a New Jersey Devil. So the story goes, he was drafted by Washington went to St. Louis, and St. Louis tried to re-sign. No, he was traded to St. Louis. He tried to sign. He signed a contract with the Devils, but St. Louis tried to do something, and St. Louis tried to do something really underhanded at the time for the NHL, and it didn't work out, and they were penalized. And Scott Stevens wound up going to the New Jersey Devils. So he signed in, I think, 1992, and that was a time when Lou Lamoriello was starting to build the team that would eventually go to the Stanley Cup Final in the 1995 season. 30 years this year, Dustin. 30 years,
Man,
first Stanley Cup.
it's crazy.
No, it's crazy because it's part of the greatest weekend of my teenage years. I graduated high school on Friday. I watched the Devils win the Stanley Cup on Saturday. And I had my graduation party on Sunday. Greatest weekend of my teenage years. But he was such an integral part of that Devils team from the mid 90s all the way up till I think he retired during the lockout in 2005.
I was going to guess. I was close because I was going to guess he retired before the 03-04 season or during. So, yeah, I mean, because I associate, and I don't know as much about Scott Stevens as you, but I associated him with the Devils always. And you know what? I kind of disliked him because he was such an agitator, but good player for those Devils teams.
Yeah. So he actually signed as a free. So he was drafted by the Washington, signed as a free agent with St. Louis, then was transferred to the Devils as compensation for St. Louis signing free agent Brendan Shanahan.
Oh,
so
okay.
it was compensatory. And yes, he did retire. He did retire right before the 2005 season started. He turned 60. He's 60 this year. He turned 60 last year. It's crazy.
Man, we got to have him on the show then.
Got to bring him on the show. I got to reach out. Yeah, I got. Well, it was April 1st, 2024. But yeah, he's one guy. Like this. That's I would like to reach out to like the teams themselves and like get interviews with the teams, because I know with my interview with Esa Tikkanen, that was part of a auction he was doing for his memorabilia. But I know Scott Stevens was in Albany for a hot minute because he was part of the Albany Devils coaching staff in I don't remember which seasons he was with the Devils. The Albany Devils. I think it was during yeah, I can't quite remember, but he was definitely in the Albany Devils coaching staff. But he was part of that defense. He was part of that team that was just like, they knew they clogged up the middle. They always find a way to just make life easier for Martin Brodeur, who wound up getting the goals, the wins record in the NHL, shutout wins, all-time leader in wins. I think he's all-time leader in shutouts. One of the leaders in goals against average, but he was a member of those teams who just made life easier for Marty. It was always him, and it was him and Scott Niedermayer paired together. That it was just an unbelievable combination. And he had that big hit on Slava Kozlov in Game 2 of the 1995 Stanley Cup Final that knocked out Kozlov. And during the commercial break, you see him near the bench chirping at Dino Ciccarelli and saying, "Hey, you're next. Keep your chin up. Keep your chin up. You're next. Watch yourself. Watch out." And he just physically intimidated them. And another one I won't forget is Eric Lindros trying to cross the middle in Game 7 of the 2000 Eastern Conference Final in Game 7. And he came back, I think, a couple of games before.
Yeah.
And then Lindros tried to cross the middle, head down. Never have your head down. Never. You should see. Back in those days, you should have never had your head down when Scott Stevens was coming across the zone. You come across the middle and you have your head down. Scott Stevens is going to find you. It happened in Game 6, 2003 Stanley Cup Final against Paul Kariya. Paul Kariya. And Paul Kariya, to his credit, got back up, scored an integral goal.
Yeah,
that forced the Game 7.
Talk about something that I'll never forget. I was watching that series with a bunch of my friends, and we saw Paul Correa just get absolutely pancaked by Scott Stevens. And I'll never forget him being on the ground, and then we're like, is he out? And then it was like all of a sudden he came to, because you could see his breath fog up his helmet.
Yep.
that was or his visor rather.
He also had the secondary assist in the game and Jason Arnott's game-winning goal in the 2000 Stanley Cup final too. So Scott had his number raised to the rafters. When we went down to New Jersey in 2021, I got a picture. It's actually my Facebook profile photo of the 5 banners that are at the east end or west end. Yeah, east end of the Prudential Center.
Okay.
It's Ken Danico is number 3, Scott Stevens number 4, Patrick Elias number 26, Scott Niedermeyer, hey Niedermeyer, number 27, and Martin Brodeur number 30. So those 5 banners, those 5 are jerseys, those 5 numbers will never be worn by another New Jersey Devil.
Mm-hmm.
And it was awesome seeing him play, being a part of those Devils teams that won Stanley Cups. They went to the Stanley Cup 4 times, won 3 of them. They should have never lost to Colorado in 2001.
It's the losses that stay with you.
Yep. Should have won Game 6. Should have never gone back to Denver. And they should have traded for Ray Bourque in 2000. They should have traded for. They were this close to getting Ray Bourque. They should have gotten him, but they didn't, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's what you always remember. You don't, I mean, the wins, you remember the wins, but the losses and the free agent that you missed out on. Yep. And let me tell you, you always intensely dislike that free agent who spurned your team. You know,
hey, Tyree, looking at you, pal. It's okay. You're suffering in Miami right now. It's your fault. Before we go to our next segment, we got a couple of comments in the comments section. The playmaker, Darnell Salins, going by his government name. I'm sure he's happy about his Rams winning last night. No cred, bro.
Sure.
What's good? It's good.
How's it going, playmaker? Nice to see you. And if you tuned in to hear me compliment the Rams, we'll get to that. I am a man, even though it pains me as a Seahawk fan, you got to game recognize game, or whatever the old expression is.
Yep. And the pink hand of Sapna stopping by. Sports Ball! Of course, stopping by and saying hello. All right, Dustin, yesterday morning, had some interesting news. The Dallas Cowboys, and his contract was supposed to end yet today, but Jerry Jones got the jump and announced that they couldn't come to terms. Dallas Cowboys and Mike McCarthy, no relation, could not come to terms on a new coaching deal. So Mike McCarthy is now a free agent. Coaching free agent. He's free to go. The Dallas Cowboys, they are searching for a new head coach. So I said to myself, I said to Dustin, you know what? I said, I got 3 head coaches in mind, head coaching candidates in mind. And I want to hear your top 3, and I'll tell you my top 3. So while I get the banner up here, Dustin, go ahead and break down your top 3 coaching candidates for the Dallas Cowboys. Who'll be the head coach in 2025?
All right. Well, we'll keep it going on the show because you've had a running joke that I am a huge Colorado Buffalo fan. Do I think Deion Sanders has a legitimate head shot at the head coaching job in Dallas? Yeah, probably. But do I think that those 2 personalities could coexist? No way. No way. But nope. Jerry does have a soft spot for great Cowboy players of yore. Although, do you consider Deion Sanders a Cowboy, a Niner? Maybe when he came out of retirement, there's a contingent of people that are like, Deion's a Raven. He's a Raven forever to me. But I don't know. But I do think that Deion, where there's smoke, there's fire, and this would be a high profile job. And, Deion, he could be hypnotized to go in Dallas. Now, I think this would self-destruct. But with my other head coaching candidates, I kind of doing a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek thing here. I think my next best candidate is Quincy Carter, their former quarterback from back in the day. Jerry, as I said, he loves to bring back former Cowboys. He loves to put them in positions, to return the Cowboys to former glory. And while the Dave Campo era did not go well with Quincy at quarterback, maybe they would do a little better with Quincy Carter at head coach. And my last, and perhaps the dark horse candidate for this job, it's actually a two-way tie. Rob Schneider as the Stapler from South Park.
Rob Schneider is the Stapler.
Or Ryan, how much Madden do you play? How much Madden do you play?
I don't play it at all. I don't have a game console currently. The last game, I mentioned on this program, the last game console I actually seriously played was the Nintendo Wii. I still have it. Actually, it's right next to me in a big box.
Yep. Well, I'm going to tell you a little piece of Madden, and I haven't played Madden regularly in a few years myself, so they might have changed this. But I remember for years, Bill Belichick was like one of the only head coaches that would not give his name and likeness rights to EA for them to use for Madden. So anytime you pulled up New England, if you were New England, it would just say New England head coach, and it would be a generic looking guy with a visor. They would also do that thing when the team didn't have a coach. If somebody was fired, when the game was made and they didn't have a new hire in place yet. So my final pick for the leading candidate for the Dallas Cowboys head coaching position is the generic Dallas football coach from Madden.
There you go. There
it is.
New England coach.
Yep.
Oh man. All right. Go ahead.
And I do agree. I mean, Playmaker saying Dion is a Falcon first and foremost. I mean, yeah, you could argue that for sure.
Yeah. Snowman checking in saying sports ball, snowman style. Yeah.
How's it going, Snowman?
Yeah. Pew, pew, pew. All right. My 3 head coaching candidates. Third, I'll go number 3. Number 3, Lincoln Riley, coach of USC, former coach of the Oklahoma Sooners. Jim Ross's favorite team.
Mm-hmm.
Always, I remember I remember the live shows I used to go to when back in the day when I attended WWE live shows, and he would come out. I attended a couple of live Raws and live. I went to the No Mercy pay-per-view in 2000. Stone Cold's return.
Oh man,
that was fun.
Yeah,
that was fun. But whenever they would announce teams, Jim Ross would always come out to the University of Oklahoma fight song.
Yeah. So
that was pretty cool. So, yeah, number 3, Lincoln Riley. He says that always he's been forever linked to the Dallas job for as long as he's been the head coach of Oklahoma. Because they go, he's an innovative offensive player, an offensive coach, and this and that. And yeah, he ran pretty good offenses when he was head coach of Oklahoma. Kind of trying to do the same thing at USC, but it's a little tough now with NIL. With both NIL and with the fact that they're in the Big Ten now. So, or they were in the Pac-12, now they're in the Big Ten. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I like to call them. 10, Big 10 through 16. That's what Number 2, it's kind of on the same lines of Rob Schneider as the Stapler. Tom Landry's hat. Not Tom Landry himself. Mm-hmm. Although you could argue for a hologram Tom Landry.
Yeah.
But Tom Landry's hat is number 2 because Tom Landry won a couple of Super Bowls as a head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, longtime Dallas Cowboys head coach before Jerry Jones bought the team in 1989 when he summarily threw him out on his keister unfortunately, which kind of was the unfortunate end of Tom Landry's career as longtime head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
And my number one candidate for Dallas Cowboys head coach in 2025 is Jerry Jones. Look, you build the team, you call the plays. You're the one who is basically playing puppet master for the last I don't know how many years now. 30 plus years ever since Jimmy Johnson was fired.
Yep.
Because you couldn't stand the fact that Jimmy Johnson was getting all the smoke, all that credit for helping put together arguably one of the best teams in the 1990s. Now, again, my friend Snowman will have something to say about that, considering he's a 49ers fan, and they both teams went to 3 Super Bowls in that decade. Actually, no, San Francisco went to only 2.
There was the one where they beat the Chargers, right?
Yep, that was Super Bowl 29, and they won Super Bowl 22. So, but those two were the rival. Was that rivalry in the 1990s between?
Oh yeah, for sure.
It was an arms race, and Dion was part of that arms race.
Yep, he played for both, as did Charles Haley.
It's true.
Yeah, Charles Haley. I was right. Yep, he played for both.
Yeah. So yeah, the Super Bowls they each were trying to win back in the 1990s. But Jerry Jones wants all the credit, right? Wants all that credit. Okay, if you want all that credit for building a team, coach them. Coach the team. Give up your ownership. Now, I don't know what the rules are for being an owner and a coach at the same time in the NFL. But if there's no rules, like the NHL, we had Wayne Gretzky being part owner of the Phoenix Coyotes back in the day and coaching the team for a hot minute back in the 2000s.
I remember that.
I don't know if there's a rule for that in the NFL. So if Jerry Jones, if you want all the credit in the world, you want all the credit for building the Dallas Cowboys, why don't you coach them as well? All right. So there you go. My number one candidate for Dallas Cowboys head coach in 2025 is Gerald. honorable mention, Jimmy Johnson's hair.
Yeah. That would be, hey, the hair would coach the team up for sure.
The hair would win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. But I will say, in all seriousness, I have no idea who Jerry would go out and hire. And I don't know who's going to want that job. And this is no shade. Dallas has some talent, but to be with an owner like Jerry Jones, in all honesty, and this is going to sound like I'm taking shots at the guy, but I'm not. Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen would be the type of coach that Jerry Jones would want to bring in, because Dennis Allen is not going to overshadow him in any way. Dennis Allen also originally, he coached for an owner, Al Davis. Guess what? Al Davis had some of those similar tendencies, especially later in his life as owner of the Raiders. So, but I mean, I enjoy our list of candidates much more.
I do too. Before we get to our commercial break, let's go to the comments section here. Snowman saying, I'm doing good, finally realizing some things and going for gold with my dreams. Awesome. I owe you guys some thanks for keeping me going. Thanks, man. Yeah. This is being cancer is not for the faint of heart. And he tried to correct me. He said, no, they won Super Bowl 23. Yes, the 49ers won 23 and 24 because they beat the Bengals, because I was in sixth grade when they beat the Bengals. That was 1989. And then they beat the Broncos in 24 in that 55-10 beatdown. Then the Giants won 25, formerly known as the Washington Redskins won 26. And then he says Cowboys won 27, 28, and 30. 49ers won 29. Yes, I remember that one because that was my senior year of high school. And then Kevin Wilson saying, how about another McCarthy? Ryan taking over as the head coach? No.
And also, before we go to break, I just have to say shout out to you, Snowman. I know firsthand how hard I had to watch a family member of mine fight it. So big ups to you for taking on cancer and winning right now, and keep fighting. Glad you're still fighting a good fight, and great to see you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for checking in, Snowman. We appreciate you checking in. It's always fun being a part of your show when I can jump in and say hi and being part of. And we're actually gonna do a alternative play-by-play in March when the
Awesome.
when the Devils play the Blackhawks in Chicago. So it's gonna be a fun time. All right, we're gonna take our network mandated commercial break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about the wild card weekend in the NFL. So stand by and stay tuned for more No Credentials Required.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at righteousfelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon jerky.
All right, let's talk snacks. Snacks, and one of those great snacks you want to get yourself is some Righteous Felon Craft Jerky. High protein, low sugar, 20 grams of protein per 2-ounce bag. Great for your great mid-afternoon boost. You got wide variety of flavors. If you want hot, they got hot. You want sweet, they got sweet. If you want something a little more savory, they got sweet, they got savory. They also got turkey jerky, which tastes like a Thanksgiving dinner. They've got the biltong, which is the African air dried inspired jerky. But it's not just for humans. It's also for puppies. Dustin, tell us about the dog treats you got for your boy Pickles.
So I got my little dog nephew Pickles. I got him some Righteous Felon dog treats for Christmas, and I can say if he could talk right now, he would say that he loves them. They're made out of ingredients such as sweet potato, flaxseed. So they have things in there that your dogs are going to like. But also it's not going to hurt your dogs. They're natural treats. And let me tell you, they got here. I ordered them in the rush of the holiday season. They got here quick. And I just have to say, I've got to re-up and order myself for Righteous Felon because I famously won a little bit of Righteous Felon due to a bet Ryan and I had about Olympic basketball. And that converted me into a fan. He sent me some of the beef sticks. I picked out 2 flavors, one of which was the habanero Escobar. That is not messing around. If you like spice, that's going to get you there. But I gotta re-up some because I've been doing some bad snacking to start the new year, and I got to curb those cravings with some Righteous Felon. You won't be disappointed. Grab it. Use the promo code.
Yep.
You're going to have yourself a great time.
Yep. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to righteousfelon.com. You're going to put some stuff in your cart. You're going to use promo code BELLYUP at checkout. Get 15% off your order. But it's not just that. Not just 15% off your order. But for every order of $50 or more, regardless of whether you buy the jerky, the craft jerky, the turkey jerky, the beef sticks, the dog treats, the gear, any amount that's over $50, you get free shipping. So get the free shipping. You can use the promo code also, so you can save yourself some more money when you check out. So righteousfelon.com, promo code BELLYUP, 15% off your order, and again, free shipping for every order over $50 or more. So check it out today or tomorrow, whichever.
Double up with Belly Up. There we go.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Well, Dustin, it's time to review wild card weekend. And I'm going to introduce a new element. And I'm pretty sure after this Sunday and this wild card weekend, there are some fans with this type of reaction.
I am untethered and my rage knows no bounds!
Fan bases. So we're going to start with the Saturday games. Spend a couple minutes talking about the Chargers and the Texans. And I have to offer, I'm going to lead off here. I'm going to start off by offering an apology to the Texans. I said on this program on Saturday morning, I wasn't sure what kind of Texans teams what kind of Texans team this was going to be. We're going to see on Sunday or Saturday, excuse me. I said that we're looking forward to seeing some interesting rules magic with Jim Harbaugh trying to nerd out with the rules, have some obscure rule that he exercises during this game happen. So I want to apologize to the Texans. I'm sorry that I underestimated your defense and I questioned your heart when y'all basically I said backed into the playoffs. But you did a great job, especially your defense, because Justin Herbert, he had 3 interceptions all season long in the regular season. He threw 4 picks in this game.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert doing a vanishing act when when the Chargers need it the most, which has me kind of thinking that the Chargers are going to need to invest in a Robin to Ladd McConkey's Batman in the regular season, because if you look at the stats for Ladd McConkey, he had like 8, I think he had 8 receptions for almost 200 yards, including that 83-yard freak touchdown catch and run in the fourth quarter that brought the Chargers within a score. And then we saw that blocked PAT that saw Cameron Dicker get absolutely lit up when he tried to save the football, which got taken back for a 2-point touchdown for the Texans, which basically sealed the game.
Yeah. This, I said much the same thing that you did. I even went so further. I said, if the Texans were in any other division, they would not be in the playoffs right now, which is true, but it was also a shot at them because they just hadn't been playing well. And granted, they had a bunch of injuries, couple key ones on the offensive side of the ball with Tank Dell, and obviously they've been missing Stephon Diggs for quite some time now. But as long as we are on the apology tour, because you're right, Ryan, the defense is what bailed them out of that game. The defense really showed up to play. Derek Stingley with 2 picks, 2 of those Justin Herbert picks. But I will tell you, the offense of the Texans looked out of sync early in this game. The Chargers got the two field goals quick, and it looked like the Texans were on their heels defensively. The defense rebounded and started playing very well, but the offense took a little while to get going until one play, and that was CJ Stroud converting on a 3rd and 16 on a busted play, and that seemed to wake the Texans offense up a little bit. And the person that I need to apologize to is Nico Collins, because I said that Joe Mixon would have to have a massive game in order for the Texans to win this game. And early in this game, it looked like DeMeco Ryans and the Texans were actively avoiding using Joe Mixon and avoiding running the football. I don't know why, but they came out passing. They were trying to pass. And I said to myself, who's going to step up big for the Texans? Well, I forgot about Nico Collins. Nico Collins is a man. Nico Collins is a beast. He is a weapon, and I must apologize to him because he was huge for the Texans offensively when they really didn't have much else going, and they had to rely on their defense to carry the day.
Yeah. So Ladd McConkey, as I mentioned, 9 receptions, 197 yards, and that touchdown. And a wild, I think it was 3rd and 27, and Texans defense had their ears pinned back. They were ready to get after Justin Herbert. Finds McConkey over the middle. They had the first down. But then all of a sudden had a poor tackling by the Texans secondary. He just ran. He just kept running. Run, laddie, run. until he found the end zone. Then we had that crazy blocked extra point sequence that just, again, basically ended the game. And Justin Herbert threw a pick 6, almost had a second pick 6 thrown.
Yeah.
Because Will Drissley dropped a pass, which landed in the arms of the aforementioned Derek Stingley Jr. And he almost took it back the entire way, but it wound up getting tackled inside the 10-yard line. And Texans scored a touchdown, and then it was just the last nail in the coffin. It was for a miserable day. And Jim Harbaugh's Los Angeles Chargers coaching debut. And Dustin, I think it's part of I'm going to talk about Herbert and another highly paid, another quarterback who got a big contract a little bit later. But keep it rolling here. The Saturday night game between the Steelers and the Ravens. Dustin, give us your thoughts on the Steelers and the Ravens.
Oh man, this game. Okay, I'll keep it quick. But I had said that Russell Wilson would need to play very well in order for the Steelers to have a chance in this one. And it was fitting that this game was on Prime. Full disclosure, I missed most of it so that I could have a wicked watch party. But
I see what you did there.
But this game had the feel of a Thursday night football game. It was dominated by the Ravens. And you know what? The Ravens, they were dominating the line of scrimmage early, and Derrick Henry was running through huge holes. He was going off, and then they had the Steelers completely fooled because they would give the ball, they would fake it to Henry, and then Lamar would take off. If if they didn't give it to Henry, this was a clinic. Russ was not crisp in this game, like I said that he needed to be. He looked pretty bad. He did pad his stats somewhat in garbage time, but the Ravens absolutely dominated the Steelers in every aspect of the game. This was a drubbing by the Baltimore Ravens, and I'll tell you, it sets up a matchup between Buffalo and Baltimore. That's going to be a good one.
I'm hoping it's a good one because the last time the Bills and the Ravens met in the playoffs, I believe it was 2020 or 2021, and it was in Buffalo. It was not pretty. It was not pretty. It was not a great day if you were a Baltimore Ravens fan. But Lamar Jackson didn't have Derrick Henry in the backfield then. So this is a much different Baltimore Ravens team.
Yeah.
And I got some thoughts about this game. So the final score was 28-14. Did not reflect what happened during the game because the Ravens just absolutely put it on the Steelers. 21-0 at halftime.
Yeah.
And on the Ravens drive that saw them go up 14-0. 13-play drive. All runs.
All runs. Yeah.
All runs. And on that final drive to end this first half that saw the Ravens go up 21-0, I felt terrible for Cam Hayward. Absolutely terrible for Cam Hayward because he looked gassed. He looked frustrated. Like the guy just basically gave up. The guy just basically gave up on that. And he was just, I want to say he was being assisted off the field, but I think it's because he was just so tired.
Yeah.
He was absolutely just, the Steelers defense was just run into the ground, literally and figuratively speaking. And the Ravens, we just saw that they were the better team, above and beyond the better team in this game. And it showed. And I mean, they've written, now I saw an interesting, I saw an interesting tweet yesterday. I put in our Discord group. Again, link in the description for our Discord group if you want to join. No chuds, okay? Be a good guy or good girl. No chuds, please. But apparently after the Eagles game, Lamar Jackson's mom absolutely gave him a tongue lashing.
Oh yeah.
The Ravens are 5-0 ever since then.
Yeah, she lit into Lamar, and he listened to his mom.
And that's two times that the Ravens have beaten the Steelers in that 5-0 streak, in that 5-game winning streak.
Yeah.
So after this game, there's a lot of debate on the social medias. Yes, I peruse social media. I know you're asking why why did that? Well, there's a reason why. There's a lot of talk about Mike Tomlin being let go by the Pittsburgh Steelers after this game. And I don't think it's fair to say he should be let go, basically because he signed a 3-year extension after last season. And after last season, a lot of people wanted him gone.
Yeah, oh yeah.
If you remember, just as I have, he hasn't won a playoff game since 2017. The last playoff win for the Chiefs or for the Steelers was when they beat the Chiefs in the divisional 19-17. And then they got absolutely smacked around by the Patriots the next week in the AFC Championship game. Has not won a playoff game since 2017. Now, he's missed the playoffs a couple times, but he's also kept his record of no seasons under 500 since he became the head coach of these Pittsburgh Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
So why he's still around, and he's got to figure out what his quarterback situation is next year. They said they're leaning towards Justin Fields. Although if you saw that one pass that Justin Fields attempted, went to his intended receiver, which was the ground. So not great. Not great if you're Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's rough. I have seen some of this, and I've heard people loudly talking about whether Mike Tomlin should be let go. And I think there's two factors that work in his favor. One, the Rooneys are going to give you the longest leash in sports. They don't like to fire anybody. They, what is their lineage? It's Knoll, Cower, Tomlin, isn't it?
Chuck Knoll, Bill Cower, and Mike Tomlin.
Yeah,
3 coaches in 50 years.
Yeah. And also, you just said it. And there's an argument that this is the worst that could happen because it keeps you in purgatory. But Mike Tomlin is good enough to take the Steelers, regardless of personnel, regardless of the talent level of the overall roster. He hasn't had a losing season since he's coached there.
Nope.
So you combine that with the temperament of the Rooneys. He's not leaving Pittsburgh. No way. No way.
Nope. More comments before we go to our next game. Kevin Wilson saying 29 yards rushing will make any quarterback look bad, including Russell Wilson, for sure. Absolutely.
That's true.
Because
Yeah.
They had no run game. They had Najee Harris couldn't get it going because
Yeah.
the Ravens stuffed the run. And your Uncle Al says the Steelers are good enough to make the playoffs, but not win the playoffs. They need to draft a star quarterback, but always finish well enough to get a high draft pick. The cycle continues. Yeah, they haven't had. I mean, the last time we saw them draft a quarterback in the first round was Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
Before that, Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah,
we know what
Ben.
happened with Ben Roethlisberger. Won 2 Super Bowls. So, yeah, agreed. So, either one of the things I have to do is either tank next year or trade up this year in the 2025 draft to get a quarterback. But who's there? You
Yeah.
got Shador Sanders, who is, I think he's still kind of. I don't think he's the quarterback. I don't think he's that great of a quarterback, to be honest. But we'll see. Cam Ward is out there. You have quarterbacks who are out there. It's just,
Yeah.
you don't know. You don't know who you're going to pick. Oh, and your Uncle Al says #Team Tank. All right, we're going to continue with Sunday's game. Going to Sunday's games. First, talking about the Broncos and the Bills. And I said on this program Saturday morning, I said that this game would be closer than what people would think it would be. And I was right for about. I was right for one half.
Yeah.
The Broncos, they kept it tough for at least the first half, but then the second half happened, and everything went right for the Buffalo Bills. Everything went right offensively. They were doing well defensively. They were stopping the run. They were the one thing that Denver Broncos did well this year was stop the run. They couldn't do it in this game against the Bills. Could not do it. And everything just seemed to go right. Everything just seemed to go well. And we saw what the Buffalo Bills were, and we see that they're a Super Bowl contender for a reason. And this was, and we saw it in this game when they were absolutely beating I wouldn't say inferior opponent, because Denver kind of came out of nowhere, because nobody thought they were going to do well this year.
No.
Nobody. But they are who we thought they were, and it turned out to be the Broncos' Cinderella season had to end. And we also found out later that Bo Nix was basically playing with a broken freaking back for about the last month and a half.
That's crazy. You can't question his toughness ever.
Nope.
If I had a broken back, I wouldn't be doing anything. I probably wouldn't even be able to get in the chair. I'd be like, Ryan, you got to find somebody else to do the show with until my back heals because I'm down.
No, we'll put you in a skeleton like Dee from Always Sunny.
Yeah, full body cast,
Full body cast.
or the metal, the metal skeleton. That's right,
The metal monster.
I forgot about that one. But I mean, I'm with you. The Bo Nix threw an absolute beautiful bomb to Denzel Mims, I believe it was the receiver.
It was Marvin Mims.
Oh, Marvin Mims. My apology. I don't know where I got Denzel from.
Oh, I know.
But that was it. That was it. And as you pointed out, the Broncos could not stop the run. I believe James Cook had, like, when they were approaching halftime, he had 78 yards on the ground already. His yards per rush average was like obscene. James Cook was running all over them early. And also Ty Conklin, he was getting some run, pun intended, as the running back in there. And he also had a big 4th down conversion where he made a big reception when the Bills went for it. Everything was clicking for the Bills this game. And their coach did not do any boneheaded things like having McDermott did not have Josh Allen throw 3 times out of his own end zone. So the Bills cruised to victory in this one. Hats off to the Broncos. Like you said, nobody expected them to do anything this year, especially with the way they looked in week 1 against my Seattle Seahawks. And, hats off to them on a great season. Bo Nix, I think you got yourself the real deal there. And Sean Payton, he did better than I thought he would do this year with this roster. So hats off to him.
Yep. So James Cook, final stat line, 23 carries, 120 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah.
So, great job there. All right. Afternoon game, Packers at Eagles. This game, Dustin, let's start with, let me get your thoughts first about this game before I kind of have a meandering thought about Jordan Love.
All right. This game, and I'll be quick with this one, as quick as I can be, because we all know me. But this game, so I got invited over to a friend's house for dinner to watch this game, and let me say, the dinner of the scalloped potatoes and ham that I had was better than this game. All right, because this game was boring to watch. The Eagles did not play as well as they could have. The Eagles had some miscues, and this was a defensive battle, which normally I like a defensive battle. But the thing was that Jordan Love was so bad at quarterback. He just couldn't get it going. He throws 3 picks in this game. That the game, even though the Eagles were not playing as well as they could have, and the Packers were never really fully out of it, the game never felt like it was, it always felt like it was in hands. It just felt like the Eagles were just going to win this one in advance. And there was no fanfare. There was no feel to this game for me, other than the Packers defense played well enough to keep him in it, but their offense was so inept that the Eagles could have a down game by their standards and cruise to victory. That's what this game felt like to me.
Yeah, the Packers defense, credit to them for keeping them in the game, for sure. Because we saw in the opening kickoff, there was that fumble and that absolute lick on the special teams with the Eagles. Recover the fumble. They score. They go up 10-0 before you could say, what the hell? And the Packers, foremost Packers fans could say what the hell, including our friend Dave, who's a Packers fan. Always enjoys watching with his family. His boys are getting the football, especially his youngest. So, but they had to witness this game where the Eagles defense, after surrendering the first 10 points, did a solid job containing Jalen Hurts, did a solid job containing Saquon Barkley for the most part. Saquon still finished with over 100 yards rushing, including that run at the end of the game where he had a breakaway, and it was sure he was going to score a touchdown, but he didn't. He slid, did the right thing, slid, let the clock run, which had every degenerate gambler saying this: because it would have had Saquon Barkley as for any time touchdown in their parlay. After that running and sliding, they had this.
I am untethered and my rage knows no bounds!
Yeah, they had untethered rage for sure. Saquon slide rather than run for a touchdown, but classy move on his part to do that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Jordan Love for a minute. All right. In another Discord chat, we were talking about quarterbacks, and we're talking about star players, and how I mentioned about Tom Brady that the one thing I begrudgingly respect Tom Brady for all those years he was a Patriot. He took team friendly deals because he wanted to bring in the right pieces that would get the winning team. He was all about winning.
Yes.
He was all about winning, and he would be okay with giving a big contract to Corey Dillon to play for a couple seasons for them. Big contract to Randy Moss to keep him around to be his primary target. Big contracts to veteran players like Junior Seau. Who's that clown from the NFL and NBC? Ronnie Harrison. Yes. I call him a clown for a different reason, but anyway, I digress. Bring in veteran pieces who would get a big payday, and Tom Brady would restructure his contract on a yearly basis to make sure that the Patriots stayed under the cap, and he would earn bonuses and incentives. And then toward the end of his career, he's like, I want to be paid. I'm going to Tampa for $40+ million. And mind you, in an income tax free state like Florida, I can earn most of his money income tax free, which is real nice, Clark. But you're seeing these ridiculous contracts in the NFL for quarterbacks especially.
Mm-hmm.
Over the past, I'd probably say about the last decade or so. Coming close to a decade, where you see like a Josh Allen. Josh Allen got a 10-year contract for over $100 million for quite a lot. We saw it Patrick Mahomes 10 years, $400 million, which was the first of its kind, which is made him part owner of the Kansas City Royals. But then you see all these different contracts. Joe Burrow earning a big payday.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert, the aforementioned Justin Herbert, get a big payday. Jordan Love earned a big payday. But
did he earn it though?
That's the thing. And that's what I was arguing. That's what I was not making an argument, having a discussion about. Yeah, these guys make highlight reels. You see them on Sports Center. You see them making highlight throws. You see them get these big endorsement deals. You see them get their jerseys always selling. The jerseys are usually the highest seller. But if I'm an owner, I want to see results in the field. I don't care that you're making highlight throws. I don't care that you're throwing 40 plus touchdowns a year. I want to see results. I want to see championships. And Jordan Love, and this is a phenomenon that is Jordan Love. I saw a meme, which I've posted in our Discord, and I posted in another Discord. Jordan Love's career numbers. During Toyotathon, 28 TDs, two interceptions. Not during Toyotathon, 29 TDs, 28 interceptions. One of the strangest phenomenons in sports. This is a phenomenal case study right here for Jordan Love. If you're gonna get paid the big money, you better show up. And yep. I understand Jordan Love was struggling with an elbow injury. He hurt his elbow. By the way, the Packers are 0-2 in 2025, and the Chicago Bears are 1-0. How crazy is that?
That's nuts.
But if you're awarding these big contracts, you better come up big at the right time. And as your Uncle Al has just astutely said in the chat, that Daniel Jones contract was worth it, huh? Case in point. Yes. Case in point, where the Giants to eat that dead cap money because based off of one season that Daniel Jones led the Giants to the playoffs. Granted, he won a playoff game. He wound up being the worst 13-4 team in history, who we'll talk about in just a few segments,
Yeah.
was awarded. The Giants awarded him a $40 million a year contract for, I think, 5 years?
I think that's what
5
it
years,
was.
4 years. Ridiculous contract, ridiculous money. Tears his ACL the next season. Doesn't look like the same quarterback he was in 2022. Gets released midseason this year. But again, if I'm paying big money, I want to see results. I want to see a championship. I want to see you try. I want to see you play to your potential. And Justin Herbert, 0-2 in the playoffs. Jordan Love, now he's 1-2 in the playoffs. Didn't play very well in this game because the Eagles defense is pretty good, as I mentioned on Saturday.
Yeah. Daniel Jones' contract was for 4 years. 4 years.
That's what I thought.
But I will say, I agree with you completely. It's almost like a lowly podcast host was saying Jordan Love is not worth that money. He has not earned it yet. He has not proven it yet. And this is no shade to Jordan Love at all. But at least with the Mahomes contract, you knew what he was.
Yeah.
He had results on the field. You could argue with the Joe Burrow contract. Joe Burrow has won in the playoffs before, and if he could stay healthy, it's clear Joe Burrow from his play this year, one of the top quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, another case point. He has had results with Buffalo. He has been Buffalo's quarterback for a while now.
Yeah.
But
2018. Yeah.
Yeah, but these Daniel Jones and Jordan Love were both given contracts after 1 year. 1 year. Even Justin Herbert, regular season, if you want to go just on regular season, Justin Herbert, they had to pay him because he's talented enough, but he had also been around for a couple of seasons before he got that big deal.
Yep.
Jordan Love, Daniel Jones, 1 season, they get massive contracts. Look at the results so far. Not too good.
No, not too good. Not too good. And at least with Patrick Mahomes, after he got awarded that ridiculously huge contract, they've been to 3 of the last 4 Super Bowls and won them. I'm sorry, 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls and have won 3 of them.
Put it to you this way, whether you love Mahomes or hate him, the worst finish he has ever had, the worst finish is the AFC Championship game.
Yep. True. These are facts.
It's ridiculous.
All right, moving on to Sunday night's game, Commanders at Buccaneers. We both said on this very show on Saturday morning, this was the game to watch. It delivered.
This is the only one. This is the only one.
This was the only one. So
Man.
what are your thoughts about this game, Dustin?
I love games like this. I love games like this. Had a prize fight feel. Again, I've mentioned it over and over again. And it was kind of like, you know what this felt like to me, Ryan? You know what this felt like to me? This felt like the Commanders play the part. The Commanders play the part of the up-and-coming basketball team. We'll put it in this point. We'll put it in 80s, 90s basketball because I'm kind of in that mood today.
Mm-hmm.
But this was like so the Commanders are the up and coming basketball team, either Jordan's Bulls, early Jordan Bulls, or the Detroit Pistons. And if you want to put it into these terms, the Buccaneers play the part of the Boston Celtics or the Detroit Pistons, when that other young team is trying to come up and knock the veteran off its perch. The veteran's sitting there saying, not so fast. Yep. But the difference is with this game that the young pups, they got there. They slayed the giant, because say what you want about the Bucs, but they've had control of that division for a few years now. And Baker has been, he is the definition of like a gunslinger. He has converted me. I have become a big Baker Mayfield fan. His competitive spirit, you just know the Bucs are not out of a game when he is helming, when he is under center. And also Jaden Daniels, you're starting to get a similar feel because he had to engineer a game-winning drive in this one. This was playoff football. This one had the atmosphere. This had everything you wanted. Lead changes, back and forth, last second win. I loved it. I loved this game. I loved watching it, and I loved, Baker's reaction says it all. After they lost, he just went like this because he knew they had given everything they had, and Jaden Daniels was able to come up with enough for that field goal. I loved it. I loved it so much.
Yeah. Yeah, my thoughts on this game, we both agreed that this would be the game of the weekend. It lived up to the billing. It was an emotional roller coaster for both teams. The one person I feel really good for is our boy Drew Willie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he talked about it yesterday on Total Football Talk with Cole Johnson, saying how proud he was, how happy he was. He was, he had people checking in. His phone was blowing up. People checking in, seeing how he was doing, how his if his heart had gave out yet. No, it didn't. He's still alive. I checked with him today. He's good to go. And the one thing you got to question about this match after the game, you got to wonder if Todd Bowles is searching for a new clock management intern, because that sequence that wound up being a field goal for the Buccaneers instead of a touchdown that could have taken the lead.
Yep.
It cost them seconds. It's been the one knock on Todd Bowles since he's become a head coach in this league. Poor clock management.
Yeah.
Happened with the Jets, and it came to bite him again in this game. And it just cost them time. It cost them too much time, and while kicking the field goal, and then the Commanders come back, and they storm down the field, getting that field goal, the doink to win the game with Zane Gonzalez. And by the way, to everyone who's talking about Zane Gonzalez's tics, he's very open about. Let's just put it this way: you see him doing his hair like this, fixing his sneakers, fixing his socks. He's very open. He has obsessive compulsive disorder. He's very open about it. He says he says these tics help him actually calm his anxiety. So to everyone on social media who makes fun of people like this, makes fun of Zane Gonzalez, who was trying to just calm down. All right, Drunky the Bear, you try to calm your nerves, to kick a game-winning field goal in a playoff situation. Let's see you do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not cool, especially when he is as open about it and as he is. And he's just trying to live his life. Okay. Yeah. He's doing what a lot of us are doing right now. We're trying to live life to the best of our ability. Okay.
Yeah.
And I will fully admit, if the stakes were that high, I would probably self-destruct. My goodness. I would not have the mental fortitude to be able to block out all the elements and drill a field goal to advance my team. I would be cut the next day, as a lot of kickers are in the NFL if they miss. So
yeah, I would look like those fans who try to kick a field goal during the media timeouts during the arena football game, and I wouldn't. Yeah. I'll go wide right off the rebound net. My goodness. And on to our final wild card game of the weekend. Oh my goodness, Monday night game. Vikings Rams moved to Glendale, Arizona because of the wildfires again. Our thoughts and prayers go to the folks in California. Lots of loss of property and of life, and it's a terrible situation. We just want to send our best to you as you're going through all this. And it was actually Matt Stafford said at the game, this has been emotional. It's been an emotional week for us, and we wanted to win it for our community, and they did that. They did just that. But I want to start by saying we talked about this on Saturday. We wondered which Vikings team was going to come out in this game. Was it going to be the one from the first 17 weeks of the season, or was it going to be the team that melted in the second half of week 18 when everything was on the line? It was the latter, by the way. And you look at the final score, 27-9, 18-point victory. It could have been worse for the Vikings because if the Rams had not committed 10 penalties for 95 yards, this game would have been at least 4 scores. At least 4 scores. I watched last night after our recording of the Three Rails Metro Hockey podcast. Ding. The Rams had a first and I think 31 after a holding penalty and a false start. So they had some rough going. I'm sure they had a lot on their mind.
Yeah.
The thoughts of back home at SoFi Stadium. They couldn't play the game in front of their home fans.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to capacity they had in that fans were in that at State Farm Field. I'll have to go back and look at it. But let's give full credit to the Rams defense. Rams defense harassed Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm.
They took away the run for the Vikings. Aaron Jones had, I think, 48 yards?
Yeah,
like
and Ty Conklin Ty Chandler had a long run for the Vikings, I believe.
I was right. 48 yards.
Wow.
On the nose.
You're right on it.
40. Yeah, they basically took away the Vikings run.
Mm-hmm.
They forced Sam Darnold to throw 40 times. They sacked him 9 times. 9 times.
Yeah, that's.
And I was talking with my friend Russell from owns Russell's Deli down the road from me in Boston Spa. And he said, how much money do you think Sam Darnold lost from the last 2 games? He says, he could have been awarded he could have gotten 4 years, $160 million, but he could get 15 mil, 20 mil tops after the last 2 games. So you got to wonder how much this affects his worth in free agency if the Vikings choose not to bring him back, because JJ McCarthy, he missed all this year because of a torn meniscus.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to be the quarterback. They drafted him their first overall, their number 1 draft pick in the 2025 draft for a reason.
Yeah.
And we're going to see it next year. But you have to wonder if maybe they'll keep him around, because he only signed a 1-year deal. And are they going to bring him back? Are they going to let him walk? Are they going to bring him back and maybe they'll bring him back and have a quarterback battle, have a battle in training camp?
Yeah.
Let's see who Kevin O'Connell picks, because this game, the last game and a half for the Vikings was the worst they've played all year long. And 2 years ago, they're the worst 13-4 team in history.
Yeah.
2 years later, they're the worst 14-3 team in history.
Man, it's you want to talk about suffering fan bases. The Vikings are up there. They've been waiting a long
that market period.
Yeah.
They've seen Minnesota North Stars literally died. They moved out of state. The Minnesota Twins to 2 titles.
Yep.
The Los Angeles Lakers were originally the Minneapolis Lakers.
Yes.
The Vikings have that heartache of all heartaches. And don't forget Minnesota Timberwolves too, back in the early 2000s with Kevin Garnett. Yep. They challenged the Lakers for top dog in the Western Conference and just got beat every single time by the Lakers. So
they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. And I mean, the Vikings, so they have gone to a number of Super Bowls in the Tarkington era, right? But they never won. 4 Super Bowls. So everybody wants to talk about Buffalo going to 4 in a row, which is crazy, and losing all 4 of them. Sorry, Buffalo fans, to bring that up. But the Vikings have also gone to 4 and lost them. And also, I've been around for some Viking collapses. I've been around for 1998. They were up huge. They lost that game. The collapse against, I think I'm conflating seasons.
Saints.
Yep, the Saints one.
2009.
I remember that.
Yep.
And then I also that was Brett Favre, if I remember. He was throwing
Yeah.
threw a bad pick in the
Yeah.
title game.
It was an overtime. And remember,
Yep.
and if you remember, look up Paul Allen's call when Brett Favre throws that interception. Brett Favre goes over the middle and it's intercepted.
Yeah.
Literally, that's the tone. And you want to talk about you want to talk about a guy who has suffered, a play-by-play announcer who has seen some stuff that makes your eyes turn white. It's Paul Allen, radio play-by-play guy for the Minnesota Vikings. He has some of the most memorable calls as a play-by-play announcer probably in the history of ever.
Yeah, it's they are their own, and summarily they were dismissed by the Giants. When they were 13-4, and they were all the rage. And I will say, and it wasn't because of dislike for the Rams or disrespect to the Rams. I picked the Vikings because I thought this was going to be finally the year that they got over the hump and advanced a little bit in the playoffs. But I in particularly was waiting for when Sam Darnold would turn back into a pumpkin, and largely
Me too. I've seen that movie before.
Yes, you know it better than anybody. And Uncle Al sent me a text last night. I was at bowling. I was finishing up bowling.
Saying, Dustin, see my text about Sam Darnold.
It said, who is more mobile? Option A, Sam Darnold, or B, a cardboard cutout of Sam Darnold. And I said, I think it's B, but part of these sacks. Okay, so I underestimated the Rams defense woefully before the end of this, before the start of the season. And here it is, playmaker. Here's what you've been waiting for. The Rams defense pressured the heck out of Sam Darnold. He couldn't, but Sam Darnold did not help his own cause. He held on to the ball too long sometimes, trying to make plays. You can't do that against a defense that clearly has got it out for you. It is ready to go. And hats off to the Rams. In spite of everything that they had going on, they felt like the more prepared team to me. As I watched this game, as I watched it back, I'm saying the Rams are prepared. They are ready to go. They are playoff tested. They know what it is. Matthew Stafford has been there before. You have players that have been there before. Sean McVay, one of the best coaches in football. I've long said that. And the thing is, and maybe I think Playmaker knows, but a lot of people want to make fun of the NFC West and say, well, who wants that division? Who wants it? Nobody's really grabbing it. Maybe because it was a little better than people realized this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, San Francisco was beat up, but they were at least still competitive. And look at their record; they were 1-4 after Week 5. They're 9-3 now, 10-3 since.
Yep,
because they got healthy, they got their defense together. They got you figured the loss of Aaron Donald retiring 2 seasons ago, their defense would
suffer
a little bit, but they haven't stopped. And Jared Verse, rookie from Florida State, by way of UAlbany, by the way.
Recovering that fumble and taking it back.
Score, had the Ultimate Warrior splash on Sam Darnold after one of his teammates sacked him. Didn't get called for the penalty, by the way, which was very surprising. But yeah, this was a game where I was like, all right, which team's going to show up for the Vikings? Are they gonna not be too emotionally damaged? Well, emotional damage. You cause more of it now for your fan base there, Vikings. All right, let's go to the comments one more time before we get out of here. Playmaker, referring to the Bills-Broncos game, he says, I thought defense travels. Facepalm. Your Uncle Al saying Todd Bowles' clock management makes him the Andy Reid of Matt Eberflus's. And Playmaker saying, doink to the divisional round.
Yeah.
Oh,
shout out D. Willie. Shout out D. Willie, and shout out to my Uncle Bill, too. Long time Washington football team, Commanders, Redskins, whatever they've been called, he's supported them. So
Redmanders. I actually shared a meme both on our Discord and another Discord. A really fun fact about one Alexander Ovechkin, who will break Wayne Gretzky's record by the end of this season. I think we're all seeing it coming. He's 21 behind him. Alexander Ovechkin of the Washington Capitals, between Commanders playoff wins, scored 848 goals.
Oh man.
Crazy. A couple more comments before we get out of here. Playmaker giving us some news saying Robert Saleh, former New York Jets head coach, is leading candidate for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Man, you know, that could be a good hire. Maybe he'll get that defense right, but does he have the stuff to mentor and continue the development of one Trevor Lawrence? I don't know.
He's a defensive coach, so I really don't know. He's got to fix that defense, that's for sure. They got some guys who can play. They just couldn't put together when Doug Peterson was head coach. He also said that Jared Verse did not actually land on Sam Darnold. Yeah, but it was still pretty funny. He went Ultimate Warrior. Luthier, like Ultimate Warrior splashing a guy. He also said, one more comment before we get out of here. Everybody acted like the Vikings were world beaters because they're 14-3 record, but forgot the Rams beat them already. That's true. The only losses that the Vikings had this year, they had 4 losses, but the 2 teams, the Lions and the Rams.
Yeah. And you know what? I just got to get it in to my comment about the NFC West. I know they fell short, but my Seahawks also took the Vikings to the limit. Okay.
Yeah,
the NFC West was better than people realized this year. And the fact that the Rams made it out speaks volumes about their team.
Yep, it does. All right. We're going to get out of here. Before we do, we're going to remind you about our social media channels where you can follow us, which are here on Facebook, facebook.com/NoCardsREQ, Twitter, Instagram, the soon to be banned TikTok @NoCardsREQ, and on youtube.com/@NoCardsREQ. On the podcast side, subscribe to the podcast wherever you podcast, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, and Pandora. And don't forget to get yourself notified on Twitter. I still refuse to call it X, and on YouTube, so you know when new videos are up, when show announcements go up. Get yourself to hit that notification bell on both sides. That way, you know we got some stuff on the way. So we got some changes coming up next week. We'll tell you more about it as it gets closer to get close. We'll tell you about it next week. Also, rate, review, comment. We've had plenty of comments come through our live stream. We appreciate you watching. Anyone who rate, review, comment on the podcast side, rate, review for on a podcast platform. If you review on a podcast platform and leave a review, comment on Spotify, you can leave a comment for our show and our show notes. You can also, if you're watching on the replay, leave a comment. We'll make sure we read it, whether it's on YouTube or on Rumble. Just a note, no thirsty hoes, please. We're poor. We are poor. Okay. But we got some pretty exciting things headed this way. We're just in the infancy of it. I'd say more in the conception stage of it rather than the baby stage. So
okay.
Much like Tim Tebow and his wife, congratulations to them. They announcing that his wife is pregnant. Miss Universe 2017, Demi Lee, she's pregnant with their first child. So Tim Tebow, congratulations, buddy. My boys can swim. All right, we're going to get out of here. Thanks for tuning in to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. We'll be back on Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern for the Saturday Brunch Edition, where we will preview the divisional round. And we'll also talk about our favorite athletes to wear the number 5. And we'll do one additional hot food takes. We got some ideas rolling between ourselves and our phone text. But in the meantime, thanks for tuning in to No Credentials Required. Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern. We'll talk to you then. Until then, have a great week.
Good night, everybody.
There we go.